bringing up your tubers for the year. As you see, they've finished flowering, and it's time to start looking at digging them. Here we have a Dahlia that's about the right standard, the right maturity to dig. You can see that all the leaves are dried back, and the bottom of it here, it's down to about here, and the bottom is still green, and that's the ideal time to do it. Don't wait until this is one here, so the stalk's dead, the water's in there, and it'll go down and affect your tubers. Take it at that stage there, and your tubers will be a lot better for it. Over here we have another one which is not quite ready to dig. It's still too green, it's still got too many green leaves on it. But if you we go to the next one back over here, you will see that the stem down here is not green, it's darkening off. That's got water in it. That needs cutting. Don't let it go any further than that. Take that one off as well. Now I'll show you where I cut them off and how I cut them off. I simply get a pair of these and cut them off as short as you can. Like that. I'll go to they're only grown in weed mat. Hold it back over the top. There. Stayed in the side. Just breathe a bit. Other side. Now, the reason why I've cut that as short as I can is it stopped me grabbing hold of the stem and pulling the stem.
Breaking it.
And that breaks your necks off. So just leave it like that. Put your hand in the other side where the groove is and just roll it with your shovel, or some people use two shovels or spades. Now that's all loose. Put your hand underneath there. And there's your clump of tubers. Right. We'll take that clump now, and then I'll wash it off and cut it up. Wash off your dirt off your tubers so you can see your eyes. As you can see, I use a barra at the bottom. It's ideal because it's got a hole in it, the water runs out and keeps the dirt in. There we are there. That's if you're going to cut them up straight away. There is another way of actually, some people store them still in their dirt, as in a clump, and put them away in a shed or under a bush. This is the one that I've dug. I don't do it normally this way, but this is one that's been dug up on purpose, just left like that, to say it's an alternative way of doing it. But leave the dirt on, stop them drying out. Then with this you cut them up when they shoot or before you go to plant. That's another way of doing it. As you can see, as long as the dirt sticks on it like that, as you can see, the tubers there are still quite good. The tag sits on the top that tells me what it is, and that can be stored in a shed, or like some of the garden varieties you can put them under a bush, where a fairly dense bush, stop the frost getting on. Right, we've washed it off so that we can see the eyes. Now I cut that off here. Now, if you can see the eye shoot there, the eye, You see that? I'll point you a bit to there. Yep. Right. Now we're going to cut these the clump up. Oh, I just moved that for a start. According to the camera I shouldn't do that, but I have. Now there's an eye there. There's an eye here. And because the camera can't see on the other side, there's other eyes on the other side. So what I'll, you can really see the eyes on there, and there's a slight eye or bump there. The tag, that is the tag that is dug up with the clump, and it's most important to keep your tag or mark it or number it, put your name on it, whatever it is that's got to go with it, because you'll get them all mixed up. So now I'll show you how I cut them up. Okay. Right. Now first of all, I don't use secateurs. The actual secateurs hole on one side and cut the other, and where it holes you get a bruise. I don't want that to happen. I use a pair like that, which has got two sharp edges, and it cuts it nice and clean. You can sharpen them. I sharpen them. Usually wear out a few pair through the year to try to get through all I'm on. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to simply put my hand underneath the clump. Just the tag over there. Underneath the clump like that. Put it in the soft centre. Clip it there. Clip it there. It falls in half. Now, if I turn that slowly, there's my eye, another eye there, and there's another one there. So I'll simply put that in there, cut that off. Now I want the eye on that one, and I can see another eye down there, and there. So I'll put that in there, and I'll cut that off. Now, this is the parent tuber from last year. You don't want the parent tuber at all. You must disregard that, because that'll set the rest of the tubers off. So you simply cut it off. Now, I've got what a tuber here is a bit weak, as you can see, because it's been sitting on it and when it's washed, so I'll cut that off. We don't want that. Now I've got an eye there and an eye here. I've got a tuber down here and one there. I can leave that like that and have two eyes to work next year, or when I plant it like that. That's quite acceptable. The reason we cut these up we don't want the whole clump. This has probably got could have up to 6 eyes on it. We don't want 6 shoots coming out of the ground, because the area around it can't feed the plant to get successful flowers for showing or for garden. You must reduce the amount of shoots you have come out of the ground so that you get a better flower. You're better off doing that way and then working on your bush when it's growing. And you can get a lot more flowers that way by disbudding and so forth, or cut them off for vases. And the more you cut them, the more you get. But we're only doing the tuber stage at this stage. That is I could get that off there. Like that. There's my shoot eye there. There's the one there. Now, this is the one at the eye there. So I'll just trim that up a little bit there. The tail on the end here, don't cut it off too short. That is broken off actually. It's acceptable, it's okay, but I prefer to have something like that. Just take that little bit off there. When this tuber shoots and goes to grow next year, the fine roots will come out here. These are the first roots that provide for the plant. It comes out here, then it shoots this end. And that's where your quick growth comes from, is the actual tail. I noticed that's got a little break in it there, so I'll take that off there. Now that is ideal. Size of the tuber, you don't want big tubers. Tubers like that are ideal. Nice and plump, smooth, solid, and a good eye. Though the whole 4 of those to me are quite good. Now here's I must have had 2 tubers in it last year, the parent tuber, and there's the other one there. You can tell the parent tuber by, it's usually square across the back here and a lot older. Sometimes they'll come out of the ground, they're a lot harder to tell. But if you're not sure, just nip the back off and you will see the difference between a normal tuber and one of these. You can see it's quite watery, there's no actually texture actually in the middle. Sometimes they're quite brown, and that's why we don't put that back in there. It's similar to a seed potato, but see, most people have seen a seed potato. It's just watery, it's had it, and you don't use it again. Now I'll cut the rest of this up. There's another one under there, so I'll go straight down through there like that. Cut the ball off. There's no eye in that one. I don't want that one, so I'll get rid of that one. There's the eye up there. There's the eye underneath that one, so I'll just simply leave that like that. That tail's quite good. I'll just nip a bit off the end, and there's my tubers. Now there is some argument that you can cut them off and they are better being cut off. So if you're using a spade to cut your, dig your tubers, if you cut this much off the end of them, don't worry about it. What it tends to do is make the actual tuber send out roots from here, underneath, directly underneath your eye. If it sends out shoots under your eye and not down here, then you're bypassing the actual tuber. So, and less chance of the tuber rotting, because it's grown from here, it's not relying on the tuber to grow. I know of one well-known grower down here that used to cut them all off before he planted them, and cut it and just dry it off before he planted it. And that was his idea, so that you get the roots come out from under here instead of out here. If it comes out here, naturally it's got to go through the tuber to the shoot, whereas here it's fed direct, the roots are straight underneath it, so you bypass the actual tuber. Now the last couple of years I've been trying to experiment with different stuff to seal them, and I found that the best stuff to seal them with is just plain cement, just like that.
So if the back end of it's all cut off, Alf, you'd also seal it in the cement?
Yep, the back end, if you've cut the back end off, I'll also seal it in cement. That'll just dry it off, and it seems to be something in the cement that stops anything getting into it. Known that if you've got a rotten patch or sometime on a tube, on the end of the tube, if you cut it off and put it in cement, most of the times it survives. So that's the reason I actually dip in the actual cement. So I'll do these. It doesn't appear to affect the shoot in any way at all. It doesn't burn, and it seems to be quite good. Now I store mine in the boxes like this, slightly higher at the side than the front. There's a reason for that. Now I'll put the tubers in here. Now, this clump that I've just cut up was also a seedling from last year, but there's the tag for this year, so back in there to go on next year. Now I'll show you what I put in with them. Right, this is what I use. This is a shaving, a fine shaving. You can use sawdust. I use pine. I prefer pine because of the resin in the hardwood is harsh. I know some people use the hardwood, but make sure you don't get it too green if you with hardwood. But I find this quite good. Now this has got moisture in it. It's not wet. You can't wring water out of it, but it's wet, and that's what I actually store them in. So I put this in there up here, lift them up, and space them out. There they are. Now they go in the drawers for next year. I'll check them throughout the year. Coming into planting time, because the drawers are up there, I walk along with a little fine sprinkler with a hose, and just because I've got so many of them, and give them a bit of water 2 to 3 weeks before planting. I'll go along and do that because I want them to shoot through those eyes, or some of that haven't got eyes, you put them in there just the same, and only plant the ones that have eyes that are shooting. If I want them, by moistening them then, I prefer them to go off in the box if they're going to go off, and still after you plant them. You've done your work, so you're better off going off here, moisten them up, make sure they shoot, then put them in. We'll put them in there, you're going to see. Well, you can actually just see that the way it is. It doesn't have to be that box.